Hello, I'm Zias Caravallo, Senior Vice President of Research from Yankee Group, and recently I've done a fairly interesting case study on a company called Wyndham Pros, and a case study of how they've leveraged an application delivery network to improve their business by enhancing the performance of applications, and I'd just like to go through that in this webinar. First of all, I'd like to just have a brief discussion about today's business environment. In fact, it's very difficult to talk to any IT leader today without having some sort of discussion about the economic realities that we live in today. Almost every IT purchase is scrutinized. Almost every IT project has to have a strong ROI case around it, and I think that is a reality that's here to stay, and I think IT project funding will remain that way. The good thing about the concept of an application delivery network, and I'll get into exactly what that is in a little bit, it tends to have a fairly rapid ROI, and in uncertain times when there's more focus on projects that can return investment faster, the application delivery network certainly does assist with that. The second general trend in business today is around the concept of how social trends have accelerated in the business place, and obviously, the concept of consumerization of the enterprise is very broad today. You look at the influx of consumer technology. Our research shows that on average, a worker will use 4 pieces of consumer technology. Maybe it's a device, maybe it's an application in their everyday lives. Now, from an IT perspective, the difficulty there is understanding what it is that you want to allow workers to do and what you don't want them to do, and be able to have the controls to be able to let people use what they want, but not use what the company doesn't want. And again, an application delivery network can help there. Lastly, from a technology enabler perspective, it's my opinion that technology's evolved faster in the previous 5 years than maybe any other 5-year period in IT, and that really shouldn't be a surprise with the concept of Moore's Law and Metcalfe's Law and how important technology's been to our lives. But there's many more options and many more ways of doing things. We've pushed more stuff into the cloud. We've made more and more applications network-based. Mobility, of course, is front and center with most organizations. And from an IT perspective, again, how we manage and secure these things becomes very difficult. And the traditional way of being able to do that, of being able to control the client device, is no longer an option for many companies. So success now is based on being able to take those control points for both management and security and push them into the network, and that is one of the underlying premises of an application delivery network. Now, from a taxonomy perspective, Yankee Group defines, this is Yankee Group's definition of an application delivery taxonomy. Often when people think of application optimization, they think of one of these different buckets, but in my mind, all of them together make up a strategic approach to application delivery, and I'll go through what each one of these is. The first one is acceleration technology, and this has been one of the higher growth segments in the market of late, and it is the optimization of non-real-time traffic, so being able to make things like Exchange or Windows or Oracle run faster on a network. Typically, these applications aren't really written with network friendliness in mind. They can be very chatty. Poor response time can frustrate users, and people can lose productivity from it. So acceleration technology obviously has a lot of value, and like I said, it's used to optimize non-real-time traffic. QoS, or quality of service, is used to optimize real-time traffic, things like voice over IP, video conferencing, VDI, and this is done by putting traffic in separate quote-unquote lanes, and each lane would have its own priority, and so you could put all your voice traffic in one lane, all your video in another, all your best effort traffic in another, thereby separating the traffic from one another. And that, of course, is a very important part of application delivery as well. Web filtering is the third component, and this would be where we take a look at the traffic inbound, and we filter out all our bad traffic. This is often a piece that companies forget about or maybe don't deploy as aggressively as they should. And the danger here that is you'll be bringing traffic onto your organization and prioritizing it or accelerating it when in fact it's not even traffic that you want on your network. So a good strategic approach to application delivery dictates that you filter out all the traffic you don't want before you apply the other application delivery techniques. Lastly, with ECDN or caching, content distribution, that's also known as, this is the speeding up of static traffic, and this would be things like web traffic and being able to move content closer to the user, or streaming media. So if you have a lot of traffic that tends to get distributed to numerous locations, and the static itself doesn't change much, you could use an ECDN or a content delivery network as a way to be able to do that more cost effectively. Now, lastly, all of this needs to be done in conjunction with a strong visibility engine. And the advantage visibility brings is it allows the IT manager to be able to look at the network, understand what's going on, optimize the traffic through these other application delivery techniques, and then be able to understand the benefit it had. And as I talked about in the first slide, under the new economic realities, being able to prove your ROI is a critical part of all IT project management now, and the visibility tools definitely help there. When IT individuals ask me what is an important step in being able to build out a next generation network or prep for cloud or mobility, one of the answers I always give back, no matter what the initiative is know your network. It's very, very important to know your network, what's running on it, how much traffic they use, if you make a change to something, how it impacts other ones. And the only way an IT person can truly know their network is through a strong visibility tool. Now, from a recent survey we asked the question of what are the three biggest applications, the three applications that are the biggest drivers of WAN optimization, which is, of course, you can think of it synonymous with the concepts of application delivery. And you can see here Microsoft Exchange is by far the most common answer. Web traffic, voice over IP, backup recovery, Citrix make up round up the top 5. And this is a good mix of obviously web traffic, non-real-time traffic, real-time traffic, backup and recovery. You can think of that as static traffic. And so here's a good example of when you look at the varying different types of applications, trying to take just one component of application delivery and apply it to your organization, it means that you might improve the performance of that one application, but you're not going to improve the performance of all your important applications. And so, again, taking a strategic approach to application delivery, having the foundation in place to be able to do that is very important to be able to address all these applications and not just one of them. Now, I recently had a chance to interview the IT director at a company called Wyndham Pros, who embarked on an application delivery project. Now, just to give you a bit of background on Wyndham Pros, they are a collection agency located in Salem, New Hampshire. They were formed in 1982. They provide services for collecting on loans and debts from higher education, the commercial sector, government, and healthcare. They're authorized to collect in all 50 states as well as the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, Puerto Rico, and internationally. They have 5 U.S. locations, and you can see them listed here: Salem, Vegas, Buffalo, Nashville, and Woburn. And they rely on their network heavily to distribute information. They use a combination of web-based applications and desktop applications, but there's a lot of traffic running over the network. And so any kind of degradation performance in their applications leads to unproductive users and non-optimized work performance. So Wyndham Pros had a number of significant application challenges. When I had a chance to interview them, they told me that there was a very, very high amount of CIFS traffic, that stands for Common Internet File Services, typically associated with Windows, from Excel files being opened across the network. So they store all their Excel files on a centralized server, obviously for backup purposes and things. And then when they opened over the network, that created a lot of traffic. Email also made up a significant portion of the network traffic as well. That's very common for institutions. We communicate probably more than we should over email, but it does make up a significant portion, not just of Wyndham Pros, but really of most organizations as well. The big application for them, though, was a web-based collections application, and this was the primary application that the workers used to do their job, and it made up about 65% of network traffic. Now, when we combine all these things together, the help desk was averaging about 70 tickets per day due to application performance. And often when a help desk gets a call about application performance, there's not a lot that a help desk manager can do other than maybe provide a little bit of consoling to the users and apologize that it's not working, but app performance issues are often one of the most difficult things to troubleshoot. So Wyndham Pros was facing a couple of different solutions to their problem. The first one was they could upgrade the network. And of course, upgrading the network and upgrading hardware are always what people think they're going to fix problems. Now, in the case of, with email and SIFs, a lot of times upgrading the network doesn't really help. These are overly chatty applications. If they have to travel a long distance, I mean, the speed of light is only the speed of light, and you can't move traffic any faster than that. So sometimes making a pipe bigger doesn't necessarily make things faster. It simply just means that you're paying more money for that network. The other choice was they could take a look at deploying an application delivery network and optimizing the application using the series of different techniques that went through on our taxonomy. Now, in conjunction with that, there were a number of security challenges that Wyndham Pros had to face as well. And one of the things they wanted to do was block employees from browsing personal websites, and that created risk for the company, as well as a lower productivity. So this is an organization that's heavily dependent on everybody doing their job as fast as possible, and so having employees just simply browsing personal websites lower productivity. Wyndham Pros also wanted to be able to prioritize the necessary data and filter out all the bad internet traffic. So again, why optimize bad traffic when you don't have to? They wanted to also block non-critical internet sites. Obviously, there's a lot of compliance regulations around this. There are legal issues that can come up with that. And lastly, they wanted to put in some kind of solution that would ensure that sensitive data does not leave the organization. So Wyndham Pros was facing a combination of application and security issues. Now, Wyndham Pros ultimately chose Blue Coat's solution, and it actually did a very good job of meeting both the performance and security challenges that Wyndham faced that I went through in the last few slides. The Proxy SG product from Blue Coat addressed all of these issues in one single platform. It addressed web filtering. It's got a great data loss prevention feature set as well, and it's also an application accelerator. So it's able to, it allows for the filtering of bad traffic and non-critical web traffic. It can block internet mail sites for protecting sensitive data. The acceleration technology can help the SIFs traffic and help Exchange run faster. And lastly, it can prioritize a lot of the critical traffic and applications over the stuff that's not so critical. So it did address all of the application delivery challenges that Wyndham Pros had. Now, when we look at the benefits they got, there were numerous different benefits that Wyndham achieved from the Blue Coat implementation. The first one is application performance improvements. I mentioned how there was a lot of different traffic running over the network, and they saw anywhere from 65 to 80% improvement in application performance, and that's really a staggering number, but not uncommon when you delve into broadly around the performance improvements you can get with Excel and Exchange. And anybody who may look at this product for their own organizations expect performance improvements in that range. The cost savings from avoiding the network upgrades were significant. It was $220,000 in the first year, and there was an ongoing savings of $24,000 per month. And that meant a 7-month payback for the Blue Coat investment. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, all IT projects are heavily scrutinized today. They need to have good ROI stories on them, and a 7-month payback is an excellent ROI story. There was a reduction in help desk calls. I mentioned that we're doing about 70 help desk calls per day due to application performance. Well, that number has gone to 0. Users do not call and complain about application performance problems anymore. And just that alone frees up so much time from the IT individuals. They have a more productive and secure workforce, so faster and more secure application transport means that maximum productivity for the users and the protection of critical client information. Operationally, it's a simple solution. It is a single device. Of course, one of the choices Wyndham Pros could have had was go buy a different device for every function, but of course that adds to the operational complexity, the training needs. If you make the change to one, how does it affect the other? So the single device handling all those functions provided a cost advantage, power and cooling as well, but also a big operational benefit. It blocked out non-business critical internet traffic, which minimized the amount of time wasted by workers, and it could also find and protect sensitive data with its DLP solution, and that allows for the protection of client confidential data. So in one platform, Wyndham was able to achieve all of the meeting all of the challenges that they had. So that's the end of the case study, and I do want to just summarize this with saying that application delivery needs to be a strategic part of really every IT manager's deployment strategy, assuming that you're leveraging the network for productivity applications, which is almost every organization today. As time marches on and we start moving more things to the cloud and people become more mobile, we're going to be leveraging our network more and more. And so an application delivery network is critical to the success of many of those different projects. I think one approach could be to take a tactical approach to application delivery and handle things on a one-by-one basis, but I think that ultimately is going to lead to a much more complex environment. So, so certainly go ahead and look at application delivery networks, but take a strategic approach to it. Put a foundation in place that you can build on, and then no matter what application you drop into your organization, you'll be able to handle it. So that's the end of my case study, and if you want to be able to follow up with Yankee Group, our contact information is here. You can find us on Facebook as well, or follow us on Twitter. I'd like to thank everybody for their time. I'm Z.S. Caravella, Senior Vice President of Research at Yankee Group. Thank you.